Alright guys, welcome back. In this lesson we're going to be covering the page editor and all the different things you need to know about using the page editor so you can build beautiful funnels that convert. So let's go ahead and jump in and let's go ahead and start with a new funnel. So we're going to do a new funnel, and this time we're going to use just the classic funnel builder here. And so we'll do create new funnel, and let's go ahead and just create a custom funnel from scratch. We're just going to call this test, and we're going to build that funnel. So we're here, and this is our, let's go ahead and select that. All right, so this is where you get to choose what you want your first page template to be. Now it's important to note that with page templates, certain elements and certain pages can only do certain things. So for example, if you wanted to sell items on your first page of this funnel that we're building now, in order to actually collect credit card information and have the option to add that credit card information, you need to be building it either on an order form, an OTO page, or downsell page, because these type of pages are the ones that contain those order form elements. An email opt-in page will not contain a credit card input element. Neither will some of these other options here. So it's important to note that what you want to do first before you build these pages, so you don't have to backtrack and rebuild those pages. So for this example, let's just say we want to build an opt-in page and we want to collect email opt-ins. Let's just choose a very simple one here, and I'm going to break down the different things you can do inside the page editor. So let's go in and just select this template now. Now it doesn't matter which template you really choose, as long as it's the right page type for what you're trying to do and accomplish, because you can always come in and just completely remove everything that's on the page and start from a blank page. So we'll go ahead and go to the edit page button now. Okay, so here we are inside of the page editor. So right away you'll notice that up at the top is where your navigational elements are. So you can go in and play with the settings. You can add new sections, rows, columns, elements. This will take a little bit to understand, but I'll go ahead and break that down for you right now. So what sections are the green boxes that you'll see as you highlight them coming down the page. Everything that you're going to be building on your funnel must be contained inside of a section. Okay, so let me say that again. Everything that you build on your page funnel needs to be contained inside of a section. So right now we have this section here, and if it's kind of like hard to select in the settings, when you're highlighting, you can just go to Manage, and then you go to the settings. So this is the only section on the page, but right now it's just a medium. So that means we can't add, we can't extend it. If we wanted to change the color, here's what'll happen, right? So if we go to Body, Background Color, let's just say red. Okay, so say we wanted the whole background page area red. Well, that's not going to work because this section is in the middle. So what we have to do is change that section, go up to section width, and full page, right? So hopefully that makes sense. The other thing you could do is actually do wide, and you can change the background color up here as well. But again, it's important to note that everything you build is going to be contained within these sections. So let's go back and change this, and change it back to white so it's easier to see. Okay, so now let's move on to rows. Rows are where you can add your different elements. So all your elements are going to be these items here: your headlines, your subheadlines, your paragraphs, your bullet lists, images, and I'll just keep scrolling down so you guys can see all the different elements that you can add onto your funnel. Now, like I said earlier in this video, in this particular page type, there's no way to add any sort of credit card information. As you see, there's no credit card collect information or anything like that. Again, that's because we're on an opt-in page, so you will not be able to select those. The system is smart enough to know what you can and cannot use. So let's say we want to go ahead and let's just delete this element here. And we'll go and delete that. Let's just start from scratch, guys. So I want to delete this entire section actually. So here we are on a blank page. Let's add a new section. And let's make this a wide section. Okay. Now say we want to add a header here, but we want it to be right in the middle. Well, we can't add an element without a row, right? See, if we try to add this element, we can't do that because we don't have a row to place it in. So let's first add a row. When we go to add a row, we have multiple choices here. And it's important to note with these that it's based on the design layout. So if we want the header right in the middle, we really shouldn't be selecting anything other than a 1 column unless we want to place things on the side of it like a 3 column. So let's see what I mean here. Here's a 1 column. Let's create a new row, and here's a 2 column. Now let's go in and add an element and add that header and drag that up there. So right now this is right in the middle. This is the only thing we can have in this row unless we add stuff above or below it. So we add a paragraph. We can drag or drop that above or below, as so. But we can't add anything left or right of it. In order to do that, we have to have a different type of row. So again, we try to add this in the middle, it won't work. We have to add it left or right. So we can see what that looks like. And for this, again, above or below, or because it's a 2-row column, we can add that there. So now we can start adding stuff left or right. Say we want a 3 column. Same thing. Go here, and then we can add another thing here. Add a bolt list. Oops. Bolt list. And then we can stack stuff on top of each other if we wanted to as well. But let's just go back and add that stuff up to here. Okay. And you can play around with the different columns and the rows. Now say we wanted to adjust any of these settings. So you can just go up and highlight, and you can see the settings. If you wanted to clone this to add it somewhere else on the bottom of the page, you can do that. You can then drag and drop it or move it like this. So let's go delete that. If you wanted to adjust the different columns in these rows, so say you wanted the background color of this column or this column row to be yellow, and let's go ahead and go like this. But maybe this side you want to be a different color than this side. So what we need to do is we don't have that option here because this is adjusting the 2 column row entirely, but we want to adjust just the left side. So we got to go up to the columns area, go to columns, first column, and you can see as you highlight here, it also highlights on the page so you know which one you're editing. Click that. Now you're in the first column settings. So you can do background color. You can make this a different background color to whatever you please. You can also adjust the padding, just like you can in any of the other sections or rows, left or right, and some other settings in here. These are all pretty self-explanatory, so just pay attention and play around with it. Get used to the funnel builder. So that's how you adjust the different columns. Again, I already showed you kind of how to add elements, but you can only add elements inside of the different rows and columns. So again, sections contain all the rest of these items. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Of course, after you're done making some changes, I always recommend hitting that save button so you don't lose any work. Now let's move on over to our settings area. The settings of the page editor contain where you can add an email integration. So if you're collecting email lists, you can connect your either third-party integration, or if you're using Actionetics, you can just set that up here. Select the integration. Here's a few things you can do, but you can add to list. And then you'd select your list. You have to make sure you build your list first before it shows up here. What this will do then is if we have an email opt-in input, and we have a button that submits that information, which would go here, here, and submit order form. Important to note that only the submit order and order form button action will submit any of the contact information. The rest will not. A lot of people accidentally use the go to next step in the funnel because they want to send people to the next step, like a thank you page or an order form page. But by default, how ClickFunnels works is when you use the submit order, submit form action, it will go to the next step of the funnel automatically. Okay, so if you're collecting information, that's what the action has to be set to. You also need to ensure that if you're collecting the contact information, you have to at least collect the email address. You can collect more, but you cannot collect less. You have to collect the email address. So that's important to note. So we go ahead and set that there. So what will happen then is, going back to our integrations, you'll see a green check mark to know that it's properly integrated. I don't have any lists built yet because we haven't covered that, but what will happen is we'll set that up. It'll say connected. So when someone hits submit their information, their email address is going to be captured into your autoresponder or your list and then added to any sort of follow-up emails that you have set up. So we'll go ahead and save this, make those changes. Down here next you can see the SEO metadata. This is where you can change the title of the tab in the browser, the description, any keywords you want, the authors, any images that you want to preview, like when you're sharing on Facebook or anything like that. Next, we have our tracking code area. Tracking code typically is where we're going to be putting your Facebook pixel or any other sort of tracking pixels that you want. So you can see that those there. Custom CSS, if you're a little bit more, web development savvy, you can come in here and add custom styles. You can do pretty much anything you want with custom CSS. So if you know that stuff, great. Just note that ClickFunnels support won't be able to troubleshoot if you screw it up. So it's, if you need to hire a web developer or something, definitely reach out to them. But again, ClickFunnels tech support will not officially support custom CSS codes. Here we can adjust the backgrounds. So if we want to adjust the background image or background color, we can do that. Typography. So this is kind of if you're building a bigger page, you want to have kind of consistent branding. You can change the content and then the headline. Font, you can change the text color by default. And this is all the default stuff. You can come in and actually override any of that. So we'll just change that. You can override any of that, but when you go to actually create a new element, by default is what will happen there. So it makes it a little bit easier for you, a little less time consuming for when you're doing stuff. And then general is where you can edit a couple different things, digital assets, your affiliate badge, which is actually the little icon that shows at the bottom right of the screen when you preview your funnel that says made by ClickFunnels. I think we talked about that in an earlier lesson, but this is where you can turn that on or off. By default, we have it set to hide. And search engines show or hide. So this is where basically you tell Google and other search engines if you want to be indexed. So most of the time you're going to say show, but say you wanted to hide, say you built a membership funnel and only people who paid for it should be able to see that information on the inside. You definitely want to set that to hide, because otherwise people can just search your site in Google, and if it's indexed, they can just get quick access and access your stuff without paying for it. So if you're trying to put stuff behind a paywall, you definitely want to hit hide on there. The save page as template. Sometimes people confuse this for the save button up here. The save page as template, actually what this does is saves your entire page, so you can rebuild this page into a different funnel or a different step somewhere in the funnel with all the same content on it very quickly and easily. So it's important to note again that this is based on the page type. So if we save page as template, because this is an opt-in page type, we're only going to be able to add this to opt-in pages. So you just go ahead and save page template, and you'd say, okay, so you create that template, and then you'll find it right in the page templates area. So let me show you what that means. If we go back into our funnels, we want to go in and add a new page. So we want to replicate basically this. Well, let's add it to a different funnel just to make it a little bit different here. Let's go back into the original funnel we first built, and we were going to do add a new step. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to show it in the funnel. Okay, so right here you'll see kind of where your saved templates are. But let's say we wanted, so right now we're showing it as an opt-in because that's what we saved it as. But now if we take a look at like a sales page, you'll find that we do not have our template saved anywhere, because again, it's an opt-in type. It is not a sales page, it's not a product launch, it's not an order form, it's not a registration type, it's not membership. So again, those saved templates are based on the different page types, opt-in, so opt-in and opt-in, right? Let's go back to our other funnel and continue working on the editor now. Okay, so we are back inside the editor, and we covered all the different information. Let's go back to general. One thing I wanted to note, you'll see this on-submit go to option. So the on-submit go is if you want to redirect to somewhere other than the next step of your funnel. So like I said earlier, by default, when someone hits this submit page button, if there's another step in the funnel that follows this page, they're going to be sent to that page. If you want to override that and send them somewhere else, maybe a different page of the funnel or somewhere completely different, maybe you're building a I don't know, affiliate bridge page and you just want to send them to your affiliate offer, you want to come up, you want to still collect that email. So this is still going to be set to submit order form, because again, that's the only way to collect that email information. If we set it to go to website URL, that won't work, that won't submit the information. So submit order form, and then we come up, go to general, and this is where we're going to submit the to after they submit their information. So this, again, this is an override basically. This is a redirect override setting. So instead of sending them to the next step of the funnel, they're going to what page you want. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now the final thing I want to cover with the page editor is the difference between desktop and mobile views. So you can see what your funnel is going to look like on mobile and desktop. Everything on your funnel can be set to a mobile or desktop or both views. So let's go into the settings and show what I mean here. Go to settings of this section. Right now it's set to all by default, and you won't be able to see it on my screen, but there's actually a mobile and desktop, a mobile only, and a desktop only option down at the bottom here. If we set this to mobile only, here's what that looks like. But if we go back to desktop, it's completely gone because it's set to mobile only. So let's go back up here into the settings. Now if we set this to desktop only, you'll see that it has a little red highlight around it and shows that it's desktop only. Now we go to preview mobile, nothing's there. So this is perfect if you want to optimize your funnels and your pages to look beautiful both on desktop as well as mobile. So you're basically going to want to do is build two different pages. Again, one for mobile and one for desktop. And here's how you do that. Let's go back to settings and hit all. What we're going to do is actually go in, and once we build this entire funnel, what I do personally is I'll build the entire page on desktop first. Or I'll have it set to both. But I'll build it all out first, not care what it looks like on mobile right away, and then I'll come in and decide what I want to include on my mobile and not. So let's say I want to include this entire section on mobile, but I want to edit some of the things so it looks a little bit better on the mobile device. So first what we need to do is clone this entire section. So now we have two sections. If we look in mobile, again, we're going to see two sections. So let's jump back here. We're going to set the first one to desktop only, so we get that red highlight. And we're going to set this one to mobile only. So now we see one on mobile and one on desktop. Now what's going to happen is, let's go ahead and say we want a giant video here on desktop. So we added a video. What happens on mobile? No video is added because we're now editing just the desktop version. If we come in here, we can also add a video, or maybe we want an image instead. So let's say we want an image. Again, mobile only, so it's in mobile only. No image there because we have the video there. So that's how you can go in and actually formulate your different pages to show on mobile versus desktop. Final thing again here, just one quick setting, the pop-up options. You can go to show pop-up and you can just kind of build it like it's the page editor. So you can then go into the pop-up settings and decide, well, do I want to show this when users try to exit? So if they try to exit the screen, they'll say, wait, you forgot this or that. You can do a couple different things there in the settings, but just wanted to touch on that as well. So that's the breakdown of the page editor. Hopefully all that makes sense for you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next module.